What's up, guys? Hades here. So, today I was requested to watch a match and give feedback on kind of some things they thought happened well or didn't do well or what they could adjust, and just kind of give an overall preview to this high level match. Some teams, excuse me, that I believe are in the top 10 on my tier list and definitely have a chance at a championship if they can put it all together at the right time. Now, we have a really cool match, some top teams, some top alliances on some big servers. Lion here in the wide on the top right corner, and SSQ here in the bottom left corner. Now, always, the most important thing, if you've watched me at all or know what I'm about, relocations are king. If they're sloppy, your game's going to be sloppy. I can already see some really sloppy gaps here. Not a fan. And I can see just a serious lack of matching here in the middle. This is just already a huge problem for me. Lack of consistency. This is a bad relocation in the middle. You're leaving this empty space. Like, why would you leave the empty space or put it in between? It makes no sense. Bottom, again, extremely sloppy. Every single player in yellow missed one in the front except for this player. So I don't even know who messed up here. Maybe the markers were wrong or communication was wrong, but this is terrible. And then they left this huge gap in front of their tower. Like, this cannot happen. This is too vulnerable of a spot. Like, this is yellows. This is their side. They're closer, so you need to be able to block that. Looking at Tower 1, this is a little bit better. I'm seeing some overlap here, which is not amazing. And then some awkward, like, gaps here. These players all should have been shifted over one, potentially, or shifted down one, depending on how they want to do it. Kind of up to them, but weird gaps here. So not as clean as the PRD IMPK game, where both sides were high level on the relocations. We can also notice the lack of participation here, 37-40 and 36-40. I'm going to speed ahead and just show you kind of what happens here, and how even something this simple, just having one player in your backline, can completely ruin a game. And Lion loses a game. We know the matchup. I know it's a close game. I know there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. But how much is this a pain, like just a thorn in your side, right? Like, imagine you're one of these Lion players on the outside. They're not touching each other. This player has no one near him. How do you deal with this guy and defend your tower? Because SSQ has 4-5 people touching, where Lion has, like, technically one. Right? Because these two Lion players on the top aren't actually touching. They're one away. Right? We talked about that at the start. So Lion makes a pretty good recovery. They clean him out really fast. I think the SSQ player probably played it poorly, or wasn't defense, or whatever happened. You need to defend yourself as long as possible to hold that very important position and get some counter hits. I don't see any counter hits. No one here is burning. So not quite well played as it could have been. Looking at the top side, SSQ just crushed this position. Even though it's very neutral in terms of players, they just won the tower, right? Like, support play reigns supreme. I've said this many times, and I will say it in many more videos to come. If you are not properly playing with your supports, you're going to lose. If you're not relocating properly, you're going to lose. Like, we talked about the Lions' mistakes and this huge awkward gap here. It makes a difference. Every second, every few moments matters. Here in the middle, Lion definitely just crushing them. This is a numbers advantage. We talked about this on the start. It's very clear. Like, you look at the relocations at the start, who's going to win? Oh, yeah, the 10 versus the 5, obviously. So because SSQ gave up the center in terms of player, they have to win the sides, right? Are they winning the sides? Well, they kind of won this bottom position, and they definitely won this top position. So What does Lion need to do? Well, they need to get out. That's the big thing here. If I was in this position, it's playable. I wouldn't maybe get out yet, but you have to have good coordination, and you need to figure out a way to win it. So what does Lion do? Okay, well, the position's already won in the middle. I would rotate a few players here, either into this top or into this bottom. And this is kind of a game time, like, well, who goes where, why? Like, they have Selfzilla. He's got one of the 4 skins in the game. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. I've talked about him before. He's on the tier list. He knows how to command a side. He's very much on the same, wavelength as me. He knows how to play the game. So do you approach this bottom side that's being swarmed and surrounded? Do you have your strong players here? I mean, every team has 40, right? You can see here subs have filled in at 40. You know, as your team or your team leader, like, where are the strong players? Where are, a certain language group? Can everyone understand you? Are people on Discord? You know where you should go, and that's something you're going to have to make in the moment. Should you go top or bottom? Well, now we look here at top again, and it's getting crushed. Kind of the way I said. It was very even, but the way that they're just positioned is just so much better. You can see these kind of like triangle 3s. I like bulks of 3 and 4. A person here just makes this so hard to stop because you can defend quickly, you can join quickly, and you have position on tower. If you're someone who stays back here on the sides, you need to reconsider what you're doing. You're just too far out of the action. Move your way up or rotate, right? Is your home well defended? No. There's only 2 players here. This is vulnerable. I do like to see one from top and one from bottom relocating here. Makes a lot of sense. But what do you do if you're here? We talked about this in the last game of this week. Whoever wins middle has to change their advantage. They have to transition their advantage. Where are these line players going to go? There's 8 people here. That's a lot. If you don't have 8 people in the prime zones, you're going to lose them, right? SSQ owns both sides. Like, they're technically winning right now. You can't just sit mid and sit with home and expect to win. You're going to have to make a play. And I don't like losing a side and then struggling on a side and not having transitioned into a win, right? Because they won the middle. Where was the rotation? I think that's probably going to be the end, like, understanding of this game. Where did you rotate? You didn't rotate to help top, and you didn't rotate to help bottom, or you just did it too late. This could have been done at the 45, maybe even the 50-minute mark. Like, let's go back. The game's pretty much over already. Let's go to middle. At what time could they have gone back? We'll skip through just a little bit. I'd say here. Like, why are more people coming to the middle? I see 6, 7, 8, 9 players versus 3. Like, this is going to be gone any moment. And this is not even 3. This player's 2 away. And someone could have blocked this, which they don't, which is an error. Relocate. Because guess what? This is still neutral. At this moment, at the 50-minute mark, it's still neutral bottom. And it's still a little bit neutral top. Let's count. 4, 5, 10. Yeah, it's like 10-10-ish. Oh, some are loading it. Yeah, it's still about 10, 11. So this is the moment. I think this was the crucial moment for Lion. I was asked to review this by a Lion player, actually a few people. But this is the moment. Reflecting back, 50-minute mark, you already won. You have so many people in base. How do you allocate them to properly win, right? Now, the whole match, they're kind of just losing slowly. And I do want to see kind of how the match plays out because I know it's going to be pretty close. Let's skip down. Yeah, about 30 minutes in. What do you do here, right? You're only down 8K. This is manageable. You can come back from this. But you have to win a piece now. Like, where can you win a piece the fastest? Well, you have now left middle exposed, SSQ has a foothold right next to tower. These are now going to be relocations that are going to be a thorn. And it's going to be a bit 4v4 in just a moment. You now have pressure at your home because you didn't keep the pressure on the sides because they were both lost. And once both sides start to collapse, well, now SSQ players get the advantage to rotate. SSQ was on the front foot the whole game. They were on the attack, they won the attacks, and they got to choose who goes where. And then guess what happens here? Are these SSQ players ever actually going to win Tower 2? No. But what they do is they force all these players to go, oh, look, I'm really close to home. Oh, I can fight people and defend. No, don't overcommit. There is more than enough players to defend this. Never, ever come here. There's only 2 left. If anyone relocates here, it's just strolling. So I like to see players not go there like this one. What do? I still haven't seen any teleport plays. I haven't seen any serious rotations. This is kind of like, I don't want to use a poor language, but like, it's a limp try. It's not enough. You can't just send 3 players to a base and expect them to win. That's never going to happen. Excuse me, 4. And they're all kind of low. And we've talked about this. The reinforcements from home is just too high. You can never actually hold this for long. What you should be doing is exposing them here in the top. Now, something I think is important to find is Lion here on the left. How many attack players do they have? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is plenty. Like, find a time, say where you're going to go, put it in chat, put it in marker, whatever you need to do, and then execute. There's nothing, there's no transitions, there's no rotations, and it's just a slow bleed. This is like a slow death. Death by 1,000 cuts, really. Like, if you can't control a tower, then ditch it and go somewhere else. I think that's what a lot of kind of the higher tier teams don't have. They have a lot of coordination and pretty good synergy and rhythm, but they don't make the executive decisions to win. And I think having that 1 or 2 decisive voices that make them in the moment, that's my role. That's how I win, is I make the executive decision, I make the winning decision, and everyone follows me because they trust me and they believe in me, and I've been proven to win over and over and over again. And I've built trust with people, and they know that I make the best decisions, and they trust my decisions, and I make them at the right times. But now Lions 10k down, and they're still down 3 towers, and SSQ just has a massive foothold, and this is just going to be the slow burn. They're going to burn away, and they're going to regret their decisions, but they can learn from it. These first matches, if you go 6-2 or you go whatever, you're going to be fine. You're going to make the playoffs. You have to learn from these experiences. I think Lion has been one of the top upcoming teams. They've had the least experience because they're on 205. A lot of the best teams are 38, used to be 57. It's all these young servers that have an extra year, which is 52 weeks of bonus play and experience. So they don't quite have that understanding of what needs to happen and when. But they're very close. They just have to get themselves just over the hump. So yeah, 10 minutes here, 10,000. Probably gonna skip to the end. Oh, they get something back. Let's see what they get. They have obtained the top. They still own middle barely. They're getting 35 to 20, which is nice. They're hanging on by a thread at their home base. They still almost have pressure down here, but can they get it back in the last 4 minutes with 7,000 down? I think they'd have to get it right now, and there'd be a chance mathematically, but without obtaining it like this moment, I don't think they can. There's just too many SSQ players that can just smack the tower and get it out. But close game. I think Lion really had a significant chance here had they come to rotate just a little bit faster, or had they had just a little bit more synergy, because SSQ held these towers almost the whole game. And in my opinion, in a high level match, the towers should swap back and forth a few times. with timing and coordination, it should switch hands. It shouldn't just stay one person's forever. If it stays one person's forever, then the allocation of skills here on the side, too much. You just have too much defense. You have to balance attack, support, and defense to win a match, and that's a lot of just the planning. But yeah, we're in the last 30 seconds here. Let's see who kind of scored the highest. Some statistics. Lion top performers 1.7 is extremely high in a match this early. Ken with a very high. Anything over a million is fantastic. 7 players over a million. SSQ, you can see they only have 4 players over a million. Why is that? They're just a little bit deeper on the points. But also, that means these players are carrying a heavy load. But another thing it probably tells me is they had to do more to win, which also says that SSQ probably had slightly better marches, which is also an invisible factor that, we can't see here in a replay. But in conclusion, rotate properly, coordinate well, make sure you have the correct kind of shot calling, and it all comes together. Don't worry too much about these early wakes. Very strong showing from both teams. I love watching replays. I will update my tier lists probably closer to playoffs, and we'll see kind of how they have changed over time, in my opinion, after watching. I watch tons of replays. If you want me to watch one of your replays in the future, let me know in my DMs or in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.